Right, all right. Here we are. Here we are live on LinkedIn. Once again, welcome to the Career Alchemy live broadcast. My name is Lori Swanson. I am the CEO of Inspire Tech, the founder of Career Alchemy Academy, and a career way-finding coach. If you're looking to find your way in your career, reach out to me. Let's talk. I wanted to today's topic. So, if this is your first time here, welcome. What happens is I usually riff on some sort of topic. Today it's all about authenticity. And I also tell you about anything that's happening with inside Inspire Tech. Or what is happening, as you can see over my shoulder, is the Get More Interviews Challenge starts January 27th. So you can follow the QR code to learn more about that and sign up. But people are starting to call it the Get More Challenge because some of them are on a job search and they love the idea of challenging themselves to get more interviews than they've ever gotten before. But other people that are signed up are CEOs of their business, and they're looking to get more customers or get more revenue. Maybe it's to get more connections, building their whatever the challenge, get more challenge. That's this particular get more interviews challenge, tweak it to work for you. But whether it's a job search or more customers or more web revenue or more connections, whatever it is, the 9 skills you're going to learn inside of the challenge are going to serve you across all of those things. But if you're on a job search, then it's a no-brainer that you want to get into this challenge and really blow your own mind on what is possible, what you can do. If you've in a month, because it's a 30-day challenge, right? So if in the past you've had 5 interviews in 1 month, we're going to challenge you to pick 10 interviews, double that number. And even though your brain is going to be like, I don't know how the heck we'd ever have that happen, you're going to think, oh my gosh, it's so out of my control. But I'm going to show you how you can turn your interview faucet on and off in this challenge. That's one of the skills we're going to be talking about. So if you're on a job search, thinking about a job search, or if you just have something you want to get more of for yourself and your career and your business, join this challenge. So follow that QR code. But I think one of the main things, and what I want to talk about today, that completely relates to what it means to go after more in our careers, is this idea of being our authentic self. So I want to talk about authenticity. Because bringing like your true authentic self into your career or into a challenge like this requires that, and especially again, if your goal is to get more whatever, but let me use get more interviews for an example's sake. So let's say your goal is to get more interviews. If you bring your full authentic self into the challenge and you begin to make genuine connections, sometimes that can be hard, right? It takes effort to get more interviews. It takes effort to connect with people. It means that we are being more vulnerable. We have to be present, fully present. And it's an absolute must that when you're in the process of getting more interviews or finding that next career role, that you are your most authentic self. You don't want to, I can tell you this happens, 25 years owning my own recruiting firm and helping people navigate the job search before I became a career wayfinding coach. The more you try to mold yourself into what you think they want, the harder it is. And your energy is different. It's picked up on by the interviewers. And even in your mind, you're thinking, gosh, I really fit that role really well. But because you weren't authentically responding to the questions. You weren't just willing to say, with, it doesn't mean you don't practice some of this, but weren't willing to say what you really thought about, what it would take to be successful in that position, for example. You're short-circuiting your path. You really are shooting yourself in the foot that way. So in order to get more interviews, more promotions, more customers, more money, you have to connect with people authentically. You have to get more interviews, you have to connect. That's just, it's just the way it is. They just don't happen, right? You have to get out there, you have to connect. It requires that you put yourself out there. It requires that you ask people for things like introductions or support or ideas or, those sorts of things. It requires that you do things that you'd rather not do. Can I get a heck yes on that? It can feel very uncomfortable, even unnatural, because we've hidden our authentic selves for so long that when we're actually out there asking for things in an authentic way and really saying, this is what I want, this is what I desire, it can feel very uncomfortable. It's like putting on a new outfit for the very first time or new pair of shoes, right? And so what happens is, because we haven't trusted that we can be our authentic selves and bring that into the interview process, we resist going after what we yearn for, and because of that disconnection. But in fact, when you move closer to that true nature, that genuine authentic self, you as you begin to present that more in your interview process, everything gets easier and it's more fun, to tell you the truth. And that was the reason why I created this challenge, is I wanted to help you bring more of who you are into the job search, so that you can create more interviews with ease, but more importantly, that you start to sort of push up against your comfort zone, that wants to say to you, don't go there, don't do that. Your comfort zone isn't necessarily your best friend. That's all I'm saying. It wants to hide the real you more than it wants to expose the real you, because it does feel scary and vulnerable. And in this challenge, we are gonna push up against that comfort zone, and we're gonna be like, hey, let's find your authentic way to getting more interviews. And you'll start to see and feel the difference between authentically pursuing a job search and authentically going after interviews, and where you've been bending and fitting and molding yourself, in thinking that was the best way to follow. The best path to follow was you needed to sort of figure out what they wanted and become that. And I'm saying, nope, let's start here and connect with who you are and how you want to pursue this, and then make it a challenge in a good way, like I call it the 30-day challenge. But it's like this experience or experiment, to be like, okay, I'm gonna push outside my comfort zone. I'm going to go after more interviews than I ever thought was possible this month, getting more interviews than I ever thought was possible. And I'm going to do it in a way that's authentic to me. It reminded me of a quote from Michael Singer. So if you don't know who Michael Singer was, for all my techies out there, he was a software engineer who built a software company, sold it, made his millions, and then became an author and a motivational speaker. And I really I think it's so fascinating to look at, like, my path, as I look at the choices I made, the things that occurred, the experiences that I had, and how they so much led me to who I am and where I am today. And I look at that path of him as a software engineer, and how that enabled him, the building of a company, the selling of a company, enabled him to be who I really think he was, his ultimate purpose, was to be this spiritual leader and guide. And in that he was, he's speaking, and he's writing. So if you haven't read The Untethered Soul or his follow-up book, The Surrender Experiment, walk, don't run, don't walk, to your local Barnes and Noble or independent bookstore, or wherever or Audible, whatever it is, or your library, and read those books. Because when we talk about being our authentic selves, there is something about untethering. We have to untether from that person that we've built up to now, where at least if you think of it, like at least untether yourself from those ropes that aren't authentic to you. Maybe they were at one point, but they aren't anymore. And you start to untie those or cut yourself from those, untether yourself from those, so that you become more of who you really are meant to be. And this challenge, when you put yourself in a challenge like the Get More Interviews challenge, where you are pushing up, the first skill you're going to learn is why you're setting this crazy big ass goal, versus an incremental goal. That's the first skill. You're going to understand the why behind it, and then you're going to, from there, set your goal. And we're going to want it to be a goal slightly bigger or immensely bigger than you could ever think was possible, right? Not just one that you can sort of see that you could do, that incremental goal where you're like, yeah, I pretty much think I know how I could get there. That's not what we're doing here, because that doesn't challenge us to get outside of our comfort zones. And that doesn't challenge us to look inside for who we are and how we want to be on this, and to really start to untether ourselves from our past selves of how we may have done it before, and look to other thoughts, other experiences, other ideas, other people perhaps inside the challenge, what they're doing, and try that. So we had this quote. That's what the whole thing I was leading to was this quote. He has this quote that he says, if you really want to see why you do things, then don't do them, and look what happens, see what happens, right? And I thought to myself, for this particular Get More Interviews challenge, it's really about, if you want to see why, really want to see why you're resisting something, resisting speaking up, resisting in setting a big goal, resisting in changing careers. If you really want to see why you're resisting it, stop resisting it. And so much information there, right? So much information there when we finally say, okay, I'm going to stop resisting joining a challenge like this, even though it freaks me out to think I'm going to be putting myself out there. I'm going to be saying, yep, I've only ever gotten 4 interviews in a month, and now I'm going to get 10. And I have no idea how to do that. And I'm pushing up against this idea of, I don't want to fail. I'd rather set a goal that I can feel success. And I'm like, no, we want to set a goal that feels like we could fail, so we understand what to do with those feelings. And we're going to learn that. That's another skill, like that you become a steward of your emotions through this process, that you can, and especially the uncomfortable ones, right? And knowing that even when I'm feeling resistance, even when I'm feeling uncomfortable, I know I'm a steward of those. And as the steward, I can be aware of them. I can regulate them. I can manage them. I can work with them, and I can keep moving forward towards my big ass goal that I've set. So that's really the topic that I wanted to discuss, was this idea of bringing more of your authentic self into a big goal, so that you can see, like, my old self would never set a goal this big. My old self would be so afraid of going to more networking events or asking people to make introductions for me. That's my old self. But my authentic self, that doesn't faze me. It doesn't faze me, because if they reject me, I move on. I don't even, they're not rejecting me. They're not rejecting me. they're just not, it's not the right time to help me right now. And that's fine. And I keep going. And this is a challenge of keeping going, even when we're uncomfortable, even when we see that we've denied our authentic self and, did some things that were kind of the way we used to do them, but we don't really want to do them that way anymore. All of those things, so join the challenge. It's just $47 for 30 days, 10 calls, 9 skills, live coaching, a community of other women connected to tech, pursuing more interviews themselves and helping each other, supporting each other, like only a community can. So that's it for today. Join the challenge. Push up against your discomfort zone. Push into your discomfort zone, out of the comfort zone, into our discomfort zone, and like embracing our discomfort zone. That's what we're doing. And that's going to expand who we are. And we're going to have to be more and more authentically ourselves, because we want to experience ease and fun, and only being our authentic self allows that to happen more often. So that's it for today. Peace out as always. Love to connect on LinkedIn. Send me an email. Join the challenge and get inside Career Alchemy Academy. You get it for free if you're an alchemist. So anyone who joins Career Alchemy Academy, that's on my website as well. Inspiretech.com, INSPIHERTECH, inspiretech.com, and you can learn about the Alchemy Academy. And if you join before we start on the 27th, you get free access. All of you soon. Talk to you next week, same place, same time.